Glad to be able to bring a very important topic, and we've already determined that there's going to be a part 2, 3, 4, because we are responsible. We're responsible for our actions as leaders, and we have to make sure that we are doing the right thing and not the other things. But first, Dr. Kim helps us succeed in the workplace, and she does so by giving biblical principles to the success. So much more than a job coach, okay? So much more than that. It's more of a life strategist is what she does. And she is internationally known. And here on Wednesday, she belongs to us for a few minutes, and we are glad that she is here. So, Dr. Kim, this is something that it just hit me. And I don't think as long as we've been doing the show, it's rare that I've sent something out the blue and just text you and say, this is what we need to deal with. This is what we need to talk about. But it happened, and here is what it is. And I know that you could really give something to this. But I want to talk about the dangers of insecure leadership, the dangers of it. And when, have you experienced that first in your corporate America realm and as you've dealt with others?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Insecure leaders, it runs rapid in the workplace and also in ministry and even in our daily lives. And so we have to, in the workplace, know that when we operate out of a place of insecurity, it actually, Jermaine, comes from fear. Yeah, it comes from fear. And I've had experiences where leaders were really effective at managing the business, but they weren't really effective at leading people.
Right.
So we have to understand as we talk about winning on Wednesday and those listeners out there, and we're actually sharing kingdom principles, we have to remember that leadership is a mantle.
Right.
So if you are a believer, the mantle is not just for you to carry, but it's for you to pass on. And the challenge we have, Jermaine, is that when we are in a leadership role, we try to hold tight to that position.
Right,
and,
right.
And so we take on leadership as possession instead of a position of responsibility that we are to help other people gain their wings and not become a weight for them.
Right.
And so that's how it works when it comes to insecure leaders. It's pretty much out of fear.
Right. And that is so true. And, that you said a lot of truth there. And that is something that it has to be overcome because people are affected by where you are. And it's sad that it's where you are at the moment. It's just not effective.
Listen, when you are an insecure leader, it's dangerous because you're not just affecting the daily life of someone and their performance and their behaviors. When you are a leader in the workplace, you're affecting their destiny. And so that means you are impacting a way in which they grow and develop so that they can become their best self. And so when you operate out of fear, most of the time insecure leaders begin to forget that they are there for a responsibility of service. And so you have, and the Word of God tells us, Matthew 20:26, whoever wants to become great among you must be a servant to you.
Right.
And so as a leader, you must be a servant first. And there's something called servant leadership. So we turned it into insecure leaders. And so with that, it's very dangerous because when you actually operate out of a fear, are always operating from your weaknesses and you can never celebrate another's accomplishments, you're always running from something that's not there. Fear is false evidence appearing real. You always think someone is trying to get you or they're after your position or your job, and so you try to marginalize individuals or you'll try to cut them off, in a place where it's almost really when there's a leader who's insecure, they can actually go into a form of bullying in the workplace.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And it sounds like that there's some, certainly there are some, as we're talking about, certainly there is some insecurity there, but it also sounds like there's some intimidation there. So it's like, what is it that intimidates you?
Oh, yeah. See, here's the deal. The intimidation comes from the inability to cover up their weaknesses. And so because of that, they're trying to cover up their weaknesses, but they work in so close proximity to those individuals. Most of the time, your employees can see your weaknesses. You see, as a leader, we're able to, and as an employee, you're able to actually identify your leader's weaknesses by how they deliver and how they actually lead you. If you're working on a team and they have the inability to make decisions, or they don't know how to have managerial courage, or they're not solid in the decisions, or those type of things, employees pick up on. So therefore, the intimidation tactic starts because of power of position. And so they begin to actually operate out of the power instead of out of their influence. And so power means I trump you because you are not in a position of authority.
Right.
So therefore, you get in your place. And they begin to operate out of an intimidation tactic or a fear tactic. It's almost like a form of it's almost like a form of mental or emotional trauma that you're experiencing.
Right.
Because what they're doing is teaching you, if you do not operate or perform the way I say, or in the manner in which I would like for you to, I have the authority.
Right.
Okay, so they're teaching you this behavior that they would like.
Right, and because you don't have, the leader doesn't have that skill level, whatever it may be, they have to operate out of that authoritative position.
That's intimidation. That's it. But here's the deal. One thing we have to remember, especially for believers, because oftentimes when we get believers who are leaders, you wouldn't even know that they're leaders. They look just like leaders of in the world who are insecure. One thing you have to understand, it reminds me of Moses and Joshua, or Saul and David. You need to understand, if you are a leader in the workplace or in business, Moses and Joshua is a development type relationship. So there was some development that was there on both ends. Joshua taught Moses and Moses taught Joshua.
Right.
And so when you think of Saul and David, it was a dictatorship. Saul was like, David, you stay in your position. And then when David started to become elevated, and the Lord elevated him before men, and he started to have wins, then Saul then became jealous. And so that was, if you notice, Saul, because he became jealous because his actual skill and his outcomes, he didn't kill as many people as David, so therefore he thought David was going to take his position. David couldn't, you can't take what doesn't belong to you. So David had already was given this mantle to carry, even before Saul thought that he was insecure, before Saul became insecure. So I'm sharing with us, the Wow listeners on tonight, we have to move from a place of insecurity into influence in the workplace. We have to know that employees come so that we can develop them. You have a mantle. You're not there holding that position, Jermaine, to remain in that leadership position. Every time you get employees, I always coach my leaders that you need to be actually developing yourself out of your position. You need to be looking for the next David. You need to be looking for the next Joshua. You need to be looking for the next person who can carry the mantle. But instead, we sit on a throne in the position that we have, and we try to protect it because we feel that we are weak, or we feel that we don't want anyone to uncover the challenges that we have.
And I see that as a big problem too, because a lot of the thing that you're insecure about is the thing that you are leading from, but you need to deal with that thing that's in you so that you can be more effective.
Oh, yeah, here's the deal. I tell most, you're an effective leader when you build a team around you that are, where you're weak, they have the strength. I always tell leaders, especially executives and even directors, managers, supervisor level, when you get into a position of leadership where you have opportunity, where you're weak, you need to hire a strength in that area. Hire someone who's strong so that you can have a reliance on that individual, but then also you can learn and gain general knowledge so you can perform at a base knowledge level. But now you build a winning team. Every leader should have a winning team based on their weaknesses. If you know that you are not effective at maybe building presentations or strategically thinking, see, here's the part about leadership. You don't have to know everything. You need to know a little bit about a lot. And you need to know how to be resourceful. You need to know how to not just get things done, but make things happen. And that is through people. And so we need to be able to look at our team members not as a threat, but as an addition to this army. Like you're the general, but then here are the soldiers, And so the thing is, when you get employees who work for the leader, they are going to actually do more than what's required.
Exactly. You're exactly right. Okay, so Dr. Kim, let's deal with this. So, we have to end it on an upward beat, if you will. So how do we get past this? How can we overcome these insecurities within ourselves that's affecting our workplace and affecting the employees we've been given charge over?
Well, first of all, it's going to take, remember, we think about for leadership, it takes courage, but it also takes discipline, and it takes emotional intelligence. And so the courage is you have to have enough courage to know your weaknesses and share and say, listen, I'm transparent. This is why Jermaine is effective in this position, because he has a strength. And then you have to be able to identify your opportunities as a leader. I teach this class. It's called Situational Leadership, and it's really talking about competence and commitment. As a leader, you have to be able to match the style of those individuals who work with you or work for you. And you're going to have to overcome that by being able to know what you're competent in. Right. You need to be able to understand your level of emotional intelligence.
Right.
And so I want to also let people know on today, the WOW listeners, in Philippians 2 and 3 says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, we have to walk in humility, and it's valuing others above ourselves. And so if we do that, we'll find that our team, again, it says there's no I in team. There's no I in team, but there's definitely intimidation and influence if we can move it in the right direction as a leader. Intimidation or influence. And you have to know that's the difference. Saul and David, there was intimidation. Moses and Joshua, there was influence. You choose on today what type of leader you're going to be in and have influence in the workplace. You're actually impacting someone else's destiny. So I want to leave you with three things as a leader. You want to be able to celebrate the accomplishments of others. That's going to help you actually move the needle. And then you want to be able to make sound decisions as a leader, which is including your team's strengths. And then another thing, you also want to make sure that you're not using your position as a power play, right, but you're using it for purpose.
Right. Use the position for purpose. Well, Dr. Kim, thank you so much. And I'm telling you, there's going to be more about this on next Wednesday.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. But go ahead and share your contact information. I know there are others that may want to hear more, see more, how they can get your hands on your product. How can go ahead and share your contact information with us?
Absolutely. Well, listeners, you know, I love to hear from you on social media. Go to Facebook and Instagram. You can catch me at Dr. Kimberly Ellison. And then on Twitter, I'm Dr. K. Ellison. But go ahead, send me a message, and visit my site, drkimberlyellison.com. That's drkimberlyellison.com. I would love to hear from you. There's products there, courses there, letting you know where I'll be speaking, and I would love to see you. I'm telling you, Jermaine, my WOW listeners, they'll show up and say, Dr. Kimberly, I heard you on WOW. We take pictures. So anyway, go out, take a look at it, connect with me, and let me know you heard it on tonight and how it's helping you in the workplace.
All right, Dr. Kim. Well, thank you so much, and we certainly look forward to this once again, Winning on Wednesday on next week, if the Lord says the same.
Absolutely. Bye now.
All right. All right, Winning on Wednesday with Dr. Kimberly Ellison, and I know that blessed you and helped you. Certainly helped me. Going to get back into the gospel music after this commercial break on Heaven 97 KHVN.